This is absolutely incredible, and not in a good way, folks, because just 24, 48 hours ago, maybe, we were talking about how the mainstream media was completely ignoring the tragedy, the devastation, another senseless crime and victim of a Ukrainian girl, Iryana Zarutska, who was killed on a North Carolina bus. And the mainstream media, the Democrats, the left, the deep state, all of whoever they are, chose to ignore it, pretend like it didn't happen until they got called out, right? They got called out by the internet, by the comment section, and either they decided they had to respond or they said, well, this is actually a missed opportunity for revenue by jumping into this now viral topic. Oh, yeah. And President Trump discussed it and talked about it. So now they have to talk about it because they have to somehow make what President Trump said bad, spin it, put their little woke sauce on it. OK. And serve it up to their minions. And unfortunately, now, since the mainstream media is talking about it, they're just making it worse. They're literally making it worse. So I'm just going to run through, in no particular order, some of the posts that I've seen now as they're jumping on the bandwagon. At first, these are news reporting networks. You can't say that you didn't know about this. This is your job. Your job is to know. The fact that it was all over social media meant that everybody knew. So you can't pretend like you didn't know. You just tried to ignore it. You tried to pretend like it wasn't happening. You wanted to memory hole it. You wanted to do all the things that you've always done that never work. And this is exactly why they're failing. This is exactly why I think Trish Regan put this up yesterday. And where is it? There it is. Yeah. They're being forced out of business. Primarily MSNBC and CNN are being forced out of business. And guess whose clip we have first? CNN. And I'm pretty sure MSNBC will be in here in just a moment. Charlie Kirk posted this one up and says CNN is mad that I posted about the murder of Iryana Zarutska by a black man with a rap sheet a mile long was freed despite 14 prior arrests. Mainstream media should just apologize for refusing to report on this story and stop blaming us for doing their jobs.
Most murders in the U.S. never become national news. This one's garnered attention for a couple of reasons. Number one, first and foremost, the recent release of that gruesome video. Second, the energy from pro-Trump activists. They picked up on this video from local news and ran with it. It's a little bit like the times when civil rights groups have raised attention about police-involved shootings. In this case, it is Trump-aligned influencers who are posting up a storm about this case on social media. Really, over the weekend, Elon Musk, Charlie Kirk, other Trump-aligned figures succeeded in making this senseless death a symbol of big city crime. We heard President Trump asked about it yesterday when he was heading home from New York City. He didn't seem to know much about it. He said he would get briefed. And then today, Trump did know all about it. That's exactly what has happened here. This story has trickled up from local news to social media and now to the president's attention. And it's being used, as you said, Brianna, as a political symbol, with MAGA media calling for more forceful punishments and more incarceration. I have to say, some of the replies to Musk, some of the comments around this story are baldly racist, stoking fear of African Americans because this man attacked a white woman. The open racism on sites like X today, it's eye-popping. But there are also legitimate questions about this so-called career criminal, someone who had been a repeat offender. And those questions, I hope they're not lost amid all of the cesspool kind of comments on social media.
It's extremely rich to say that they're making this political, for which the mainstream media, CNN being one of the worst, makes everything political.
Most murders in the U.S. never become national news. This one's garnered attention for a couple of reasons. Number one, first and foremost, the recent release of that gruesome video.
The recent release of that gruesome video, for which I think the mayor or governor, one or the other in North Carolina, wherever this happened, didn't want to release it. Didn't want this story to get out, didn't want people to know about what was going on, not the crime and the murder, but the judicial system that allowed these criminals back out on the streets after multiple offenses and cashless bail. That's what they didn't want people to know about.
Second, the energy from pro-Trump activists. They picked up on this video from local news and ran with it. It's a little bit like the times.
It's a little bit like the time when Daniel Penny was protecting people on a New York City subway. Oh, wait, no, it's not. Because CNN and the like had jumped on that from the start to try and paint Daniel Penny as the bad guy because he was white and the victim being the black man on the train who was actually trying to harm people. And also, I believe, because he had MAGA support, Republican support, conservative support, America's support, Vivek Ramaswamy support. But we're moving on here.
Unfortunately, Jesse, I think it's perfectly obvious why the media deep sixes this particular story. And the answer is perfectly obvious when you look at the races of the people involved. If this had been a black victim and a white perpetrator, then it would have led the news nightly for months on end. You would have had riots in the streets. If it's the reverse situation, the media will completely ignore it because it doesn't match up with their preferred narrative of a white supremacist country that is cracking down on black people, even though statistically speaking, obviously, the vast majority of crime is intra-racial, meaning white on white or black on black. Black on white crime on a per capita basis is significantly higher than white on black crime. That does not match up with the media narrative about white supremacy in the United States.
Do you also feel like they're sensitive to being called racist by their friends, family, and colleagues for highlighting black crime?
There's no question about that. In the echo chamber that the legacy media live in, if you even mention black on white crime, then you are immediately seen as racially discriminatory in some way, because the basic idea on the left is that white against black is really the story of America, as opposed to blacks committing crimes against white people.
Why is it that it was in this particular situation chosen to be black versus white? And is Ukrainian white? I'm not even really sure how this works out anymore, but how come there's no talk of male versus female, U.S. versus non-U.S., paying customer who paid their fare on the bus versus not, who skipped the fare or fare jump? I don't know what the term is exactly. How come it's just black versus white? Why is that the case? How did we end up there? Okay, that's number one. Number two, I need Michelle, my wife, Squirrel Tribe, ST Talks. I need you to chime in on this one, especially right here at this point, because you know exactly what I'm talking about based on the movie that we went to the other day and the previews that they showed and the reason behind why they chose these particular previews and the subliminal messaging and mental hijacking that they were doing to the audience of people who were completely unaware. So, I need you to do that. Respond, react to this, please.
To even mention that is to undermine the entire narrative of the 1619 Project, for example.
By re-releasing these people out into society after 11, 12, 14 prior arrests, isn't there something about self-preservation? The judges and the DAs alone, why would they do that? Why would they turn these people loose over and over again?
It's ideologically horrific. I have a book called Lions and Scavengers about the mentality that suggests that if somebody is acting badly, they must be a victim. And that is the mentality that undergirds all of this. When you hear the mayor say that you can't incarcerate your way to safety, that is precisely wrong. You absolutely 100% can incarcerate your way to safety. We do not have an under-incarceration problem in America. We have an under-incarceration problem. We need these people locked up for longer periods of time. This particular person should have been involuntarily committed for mental illness. He had violent schizophrenia, or he should have been in prison.
Well, let's just address the elephant in the room here. And it's simple. People know what to expect. Okay. It's a good reason why we don't stick our hand in fire. It's a good reason why we don't put our heads in alligators' mouths. or crocodiles. I'm not really sure which one they were using. But regardless, you know the outcome. You know what to expect. And in this situation, it's no different. These criminals know specifically, depending on certain cities, counties, states, and what to expect as a result of their crimes. And what to expect is to be set free and allowed to continue to commit these crimes. Now, so if we flipped it and said, all right, well, for the crime that you commit, we're going to stand you up against the wall and throw rocks at your dick, people would probably commit less crimes, but we're not doing that. And yeah, I'm sure we will never. But if we did, less people would commit those crimes because, granted, they don't want rocks thrown at their dicks. However, I've lost my train of thought here. I'm back now. This is a push. This is a push by the left to continuously keep these criminals on the streets and continuously encourage their behavior without specifically saying it. Does that make sense?
A horrific new video of a Ukrainian refugee's murder caught on camera. It is absolutely horrific. Trump is now seizing on this to push his nationwide crackdown.
Tonight on 360.
The stories that matter. Anderson Cooper 360. Tonight at 8 on CNN.
All right. Graham Allen says, how sick are these people? Or asks. CNN is now accusing Trump of seizing on the moment for addressing the murder of Ariana Zarutska. Just an FYI, CNN refused to talk about her death until this. Yeah.
But America was founded on faith, as we know, and I've been saying it for a long time. And when faith gets weaker, our country seems to get weaker. When faith gets stronger, as it is right now, we're having a very good period of time. After some rough years, good things happen for our country. It's amazing the way it seems to work that way. And under the Trump administration, we're defending our rights and restoring our identity as a nation under God. We are one nation under God, and we always will be. But America,
see, I wish more of these clips got shared and played on CNN. You know, this one here is actually a soy boy heckles MAGA crowd and learns the meaning of FAFO. But this is actually going to be used as a case study for a different channel. It's actually for my car channel, believe it or not, because I introduced my car channel to my political preference, confirming. Granted, there were plenty who assumed, but I actually just flat out laid it out for them, and it stirred up quite the. It was polarizing. We'll put it that way. So I'm going to actually use that as a case study over there. I'm also going to be posting more on Patreon because I feel like it's important to share some of the content that I can't share here because YouTube's policies would restrict them, flag them, take them down, delete my channel, yada, yada, yada. But it's also more so for the people who specifically want this information, who want that real connection, who want to be closer to the truth, and that truth being what is actually going to present the most likely outcome of success moving forward. Okay. It's not just more ratchet nonsense and BS shit. It's if you want to improve your life, if you want to be happier, if you want to make more money, if you want to do all those things, that's where you're going to want to be. So there's a link down below. It's patreon.com. Kevin 24/7. I can't remember, but it's in the description if you guys want to go over there. Jake Shields put this up, and I think AI is this is probably the best part of AI is being able to create these visuals so quickly and so effectively of just driving the point home of a POV of just trying to make it home alive on public transit, despite the socioeconomic factors behind you. And yeah, this is resembling this scenario and situation of that senseless murder. And it's almost like now, yeah, hey, look, I don't want to be that black guy behind you on public transit, although I probably wouldn't be because I don't like public transit. Because now I fall into a category. I fall into a category of being a threat again, because that was a thing and then it wasn't. Now it is again. Thanks X, thanks Twitter. But, it's just, this is it. And then, as a single white female, alone, a solo white female, you may feel like you need to protect yourself in a fully armored suit. This is actually another case study here. This one here, I'm going to save that for Michelle so she can talk about Cracker Barrel. But this one here is actually Tiger Woods giving a clinic moment. And that's going to be a case study that I'm going to do on Patreon as well. And so this looks like to be a screenshot or a photo of the Ukrainian girl that was killed on the subway, her bedroom, maybe. And ironically, sadly, she's in a room and this poster says Black Lives Matter, which I don't know if this is real. I don't know if it's her. I don't know if it's Photoshop. I don't know if it's AI, but I do know that Black Lives Matter isn't all it's cracked up to be. And sadly, unfortunately, even herself getting on this public transportation and seeing that guy behind her, maybe she felt some type of way of, not to try and make him feel uncomfortable, because, Black Lives Matter, but nah, you should. Another one, Michelle, I got to timestamp these. I'm going to send these to you because we were in Starbucks and Sarah knows because Sarah was there with us and we were in Starbucks. And this black dude was shifty as hell. And he kept moving his seat closer and closer. And then I said, look, guys, we're leaving. We're getting up and we're leaving because I don't like this. And I don't care if I'm making him feel uncomfortable because, in fact, he was making me feel uncomfortable to begin with. And so, yeah, I need Michelle to talk about that one, too.
Voters once they called attention to it.
So certain people have been looking for an opportunity to find a case like this, to make a point like this. I want to play, this is Charlie Kirk, why he says this hasn't gotten a lot of attention.
A white Ukrainian refugee was murdered just because she was white. Everybody knows that, obviously. If a random white person simply walked up to and stabbed a nice law-abiding black person for no reason, it would be an apocalyptically huge national story used to impose national sweeping political changes on the whole country. Instead, Megan Basham, no one seems to care when a white woman gets stabbed to the death.
This is actually ironic because there was an incident, maybe it was Chicago, where the media tried to spin it after a group of black people or kids, teens, I'm not really sure, attacked some non-black people. And then the N-word was tossed around at them after the attack. And the media tried to spin it like, well, they called them the N-word. And it's like, well, they were near death. They were trying to do all they could, to survive. And, and that didn't get ignored. But apparently this story was swept under the rug for the mainstream until now. And again, as they then uncover and begin to report on it, they had to probably sit there in their little think tank on their Zoom call meeting and say, all right, what's the narrative? What's the objective here? Okay, let's make Trump look bad. Let's try to make Trump look bad. Let's try to make anybody support Charlie Kirk. Let's try to make him look bad. And the conservative right, social media, let's throw them under the bus. And let's blame it on anything that's not black.
Wow. He said white a lot.
Well, we are talking about it here, so I guess I don't think that's fair. Look, being in the system, because I have represented people who are mentally ill, and here's the balance. The balance is taking away people's freedom versus evaluating their mental illness. And New York City, there are a lot of programs for people who are mentally ill, but they have to want to be there.
Yeah, and it's
about forcing them to be there.
When you are mentally ill, you have a hard time knowing that you are mentally ill. But also, people like Charlie Kirk,
You know who knew he was mentally ill? Had to know. Was at least one of the multiple judges that allowed him off scot-free. I'd be willing to bet.
They've been looking for opportunities to make this some sort of reciprocal George Floyd situation. And that's the part that I think he's almost giving away the game. And it's sad to see a lot of people going along with it.
You know, let me just say a couple of things. One is, what happened to that young woman was horrible. And it's everybody's nightmare. If you're in any public space, subway, whatever, that something bad's going to happen to you or somebody you care about. So it does strike a chord. We don't know why that man did what he did. And for Charlie Kirk to say, we know he did it because she's white, when there's no evidence of that, it's just pure race mongering, hate mongering. It's wrong. Then he says that if something like that had happened the other way, there would be sweeping changes imposed on society. Where is the George Floyd Policing Act?
So it's okay for the media and the left and the Democrats to say that they know why President Trump does the things he does, even though they don't, and usually they're completely wrong. But if Charlie Kirk says the blatantly obvious reasoning behind why, more than likely, probably, oh my God, that is extremely racist.
It didn't pass. Even when you had a white police officer murder a black man on live television, the whole world saw, there were no sweeping changes. In fact, not one law was passed at the federal level. So I think that's an important thing to point out. The other thing is, you mentioned the thing about cash.
Not one law was passed at a federal level because Democrats continuously block and restrict these laws from being passed. Ban.
Cashless bail. I think this is a big challenge that we have. Would you have felt better if there had been cash bail and the mom had come and put down $1,000 to let him out?
One, I doubt the cash bail would have been $1,000. Two, I doubt the mom would have shown up to provide said $1,000. And three, let's multiply that times 14, Van.
It's not about cashless bail or no cashless bail. It's about the fact that we don't know how to deal with people who are hurting in the way this man was hurting. Hurt people hurt people. What happened was horrible, but it becomes an opportunity for people to jump on bandwagons. And then for someone like Charlie Kirk,
it becomes an opportunity for people to jump on bandwagons to do fucked up shit and get away with it because they were hurt. They were hurt and they were black. And as long as the crime was against a non-black, then it's okay. It's fine.
He should be ashamed of himself. No one mentioned the word race, white, black, or anything except him. What people mention is the horror of what happened to this young woman.
It's fucking bullshit.
Really, over the weekend, Elon Musk, Charlie Kirk, other Trump-aligned figures succeeded in making this senseless death a symbol of big city crime. We heard President Trump asked about it yesterday when he was heading home from New York City. He didn't seem to know much about it. He said he would get briefed, and then today, Trump did know all about it. That's exactly what has happened here. This story has trickled up from local news to social media and now to the president's attention. And it's being used, as you said, Brianna, as a political symbol, with MAGA media calling for more forceful punishments and more incarceration. I have to say, some of the replies to Musk, some of the comments around this story are baldly racist, stoking fear of African Americans because this man attacked a white woman. The open racism on sites like X today, it's eye-popping. But there are also legitimate questions about this so-called career criminal, someone who had been a repeat offender. And those questions, I hope they're not lost amid all of the cesspool kind of comments on social media.
No, there was a shitload of racist stuff on X for sure. I think I even quoted and replied to a few of them. And then if you look back on my X account, I'm quoting and replying posts that are unavailable because they were deleted. They were removed by the moderators in the platform and AI and Elon and all that. But to sit here and say that President Trump knew nothing about it, do you know how much is going on in the world that most people don't know about because there's just so much shit going on, let alone you're the president of the United States, the leader of the free fucking world. You think you have time, the ability, the bandwidth, the capability to know everything? But I can tell you this, as soon as he was informed and briefed on it, he made it a very important topic of his to discuss. Okay. And, you know, it's just like this, these are the games that they play, and preaching to the choir here, I'm sure, but Trump is right to a degree, but we still got a long way to go, folks.
The woke agenda is practically gone. It's deep-seated. We have to make sure it's out. It's very bad. It's like a weed. You think you killed it, and then it starts growing again. So we have to be careful. The woke agenda. We have to be careful. We got to weed it out. We got to get rid of it. We got to put an end to it. This one here says, breaking: the sexual predator arrested for first-degree attempted kidnapping of a barista that was caught on video just outside of Seattle has been released from jail on cashless bail. And this is precisely why women in America are being
raped and murdered by repeat offenders.
Early morning hours of August 18th. Surveillance footage at a Ladybug Espresso in Lakewood shows this bikini barista serving a drink to a customer who then violently grabs her through the window, ripping her shirt. Screen captures give us a good look at Ezekiel Guerrero, the 19-year-old that Lakewood police tracked down a week later in Kent. You can see him here in handcuffs.
Is that you? Yeah, that's me.
Guerrero keeps repeating he was not in the right state of mind.
It was just a flash. The moment I realized what I did, I let go.
Despite, according to police documents, Guerrero admitting to grabbing the young woman, he pleaded not guilty at his arraignment and is out of Pierce County Jail with a first-degree attempted kidnapping charge. Early morning hours of August 18th.
Okay, because he let go. I'm sorry. I didn't know I couldn't do that. Like, this is fucking bullshit. And don't even get me started on the legal aspect of his citizenship status. But regardless, I mean, at the same time, hey, ma'am, bikini barista. I think we were in, oh man, I can't remember what state we were in. And I think there was like a topless little coffee stand. And it's just like, you know, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying here, folks.
I'm tired also of the term mental illness being used as a cover for criminality. When a thug targets a woman, that is not insane. He knows she's weaker. When he comes from behind with a knife, that's not insane. He minimizes her ability to inflict harm on him. When the thug flees, that's sane because he knows if he stays, he'll be arrested. So what would be insane would be if he were to face off against a man without a weapon, somebody like a Tyrus. That would be insane. You'd go, okay, that's crazy. But almost all of these people that do this stuff, they go after women. That is not insane. That's self-preservation. This is not insanity. It's an evil mind. And it's an evil mind that is somehow excused in a culture that weaponizes victim status. In this case, mental illness. And what is it about a society that contributes to this? And I say this based on my own personal evidence of being on city streets every single day in New York, that when a homeless person is shouting at people, he's not shouting, I really made a mess of my life. Boy, I really screwed up. No, his aggression is purely blaming other things and other people. He blames the world, he blames people, he blames you. So we're living in a progressive ideological nightmare where the worst in society is empowered by a sense of victimhood. So when this happens, they will still get people like Brian Stelter that says, oh, be careful of the racism, or other people saying, you know what? We really need to be concerned about our services to the mentally ill, which may or may not be true, but he's not mentally ill. He needs to be executed. Lastly, I asked Grok for a conservative count of the number of times the George Floyd video was played, looking at tweets and social media, Instagram, news networks. It came to a conservative number of 975 million times. That is not counting retweets. So that is a snapshot of this liberal disease, the hierarchy of problems. The media and politicians, people like Stelter, implore you not to cover one problem, but to amplify another one to a destructive degree that leads to riots, leads to dozens of deaths. But do not cover this other thing because that is racist. And that is not as important. In the hierarchy of problems, we decide what you cover.
And I will be covering this exchange here. Tucker Carlson, Mark Cuban, the All In podcast. Mark Cuban being of Ukrainian descent and his hypocritical state. And this is somebody who is running, or at least a surrogate supporting someone who's running for president, wanted to be in the administrative cabinet, would like his own shot at perhaps maybe a presidential role. You know, he's anti-Trump. You know, he's butthurt, but he's also a giant fucking piece of shit. So we're going to talk more about that in another video. And here we are back in the Jasmine Crockett section of what we did last night, Michelle and I. And so there you have it, folks. That's where we are right now so far today, with the mainstream media picking up on this story. Obviously, the twist, the spin, the angle, and their agenda. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. And Check out our friends over at Chapter, especially if you're over the age of 65, will be, know anyone who is, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and want to save money potentially on your healthcare and Medicare costs. Their information is down below in the description. Thank you guys for watching. See you on the next one. And if you are interested in saving money specifically on your Medicare, then make sure you give our friends at Chapter a call. And I want you guys to really, really pay attention here, because it's come to my attention that most seniors are not on the best Medicare plan. They're either overpaying for the same coverage they could get elsewhere, or they don't have the coverage they need in an emergency. Chapter can review your options in under 20 minutes. It's fast, it's simple, it's easy, and it's free. If you're already on the best possible plan, they'll tell you they're unbiased and they're purely here to help folks, seniors, save money on healthcare, on average $1,100. And if you're not on the right plan, they'll help you switch, even if it's to a plan that pays them nothing. Again, unbiased, folks. This is unique and unlike any other Medicare provider out there. And this is exactly why we love Chapter so much, because they're literally just trying to help people. Chapter works for you, not big insurance or the government. And there's no pressure, just honest, free advice from professionals who know Medicare inside and out.